Welcome to the Artful Teaching Podcast. We're your hosts, Callie Phlox
and Heather Francis.
Today we have a great treat for you, a sneak peek of something you're going to get at the Arts Express Summer Conference. One of our fabulous presenters, Dovie Thomason, who's a Native American storyteller and author, will be at the Arts Express Conference as a keynote presenter and with 2 breakout sessions on the second day. She has a story on the YouTube channel of the Utah Division of Arts and Museums titled Frog's Teeth that we're going to play for you. We want to thank Gene Irwin and our partners at the Utah Division of Arts and Museums, not only for granting permission to use this recording, but for sponsoring her as a keynote speaker and presenter. After you listen to the story, go to the show notes for a link to register for the Arts Express Summer Conference. We hope you'll join us for this exciting opportunity and come and hear Dovie in person for her keynote address and her 2 breakout sessions on the second day.
It's my pleasure to tell you a little bit more about Dovie Thomason. Coming from the rich oral tradition of her Lakota and Plains Apache family, Dovie Thomason has had a lifetime of listening and telling the traditional Native stories that are the cultural heart song of community values and memory. Both wise and mischievous, Dovie unfolds the layers of her Indigenous worldview and teachings with respect, sly humor, and rich vocal transformations. When she adds personal stories and untold histories, the result is a contemporary narrative of Indigenous North America told with elegance, wit, and passion. Her programs are a heartfelt sharing of Native stories she has had the privilege of hearing from elders of many nations and are woven with why we need stories, how stories are a cultural guide in shaping values and making responsible choices, how stories build communities and celebrates our relationship with the earth and all living things. The oral tradition she gifts to listeners inspires delight in spoken language arts, encourages reading, supports literacy, can be used in classrooms to motivate better writing as students experience storytelling techniques, literary devices, and effective communication. All of this takes place while they are exploring their own narratives and family values. Dovie has represented the U.S. as the featured storyteller throughout the world. In 2015, she was honored as the Storyteller Writer in Residence at the Center for Creative Writing and Oral Culture at the University of Manitoba in Canada. And Dovie has used her storytelling to advise the UCLA Film School on narrative in modern film, NASA on Indigenous views of technology, and the Smithsonian Associate Scholars Program and the premier TEDx Leadership Conference. Her role as a traditional cultural artist and educator has been honored by the National Storytelling Network's Oracle, Circle of Excellence Award, and the WordCraft Circle of Native Writers Traditional Storyteller Award. A note about the story we're about to hear from Dovie. It comes from a series named Stories Grandma Told Me. And this is not a story that Dovie learned from her grandma. It was one that was gifted to her as a mother of a child who was beginning to lose their teeth. So the person who gave her this story, it came from their father's tradition as a member of the Oneida First Nation in Ontario, Canada. It's always important to have the background information on the stories that we hear.
Dovie is one of the very favorite presenters that the Utah Division of Arts and Museums brings to Utah, and we have many teachers who have hosted her in their schools in different places, and everybody loves Dovie. She changes people from the inside out, one story at a time.
Long ago, Frog had big, strong teeth. And he used his big, strong teeth to crack walnuts that felt good in his tummy. But Frog was lazy. And instead of gathering his own walnuts, he would hide and he would watch while the little squirrel gathered nuts and gathered nuts and gathered nuts. Gathered nuts and 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 gathered nuts until he had a big pile. And then he would look at the pile and he would say, "Not enough. Not enough. Winter's cold. Winter's long. I have many children and they eat a lot. I better get to work." And away he went. You can help me send him away. Squirrel's gone. That means the story can go on. That frog hopped, 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 hopped over to the big pile. And he stuffed them in his mouth, and he stuffed them in his mouth, and he stuffed them in his mouth until his mouth was full. And then he hop, 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 back to his hiding place, where he used his big, strong teeth to crack those walnuts that felt so good in his tummy. Squirrel came back. His big pile was gone. Ah! My walnuts are gone. My walnuts are gone. Winter's cold, winter's long. I have many children and they eat a lot. I better get busy. And so he gathered nuts and 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 gathered nuts, gathered nuts and gathered nuts and gathered nuts until he had a huge pile. And then he looked at that pile and he said, "Ah, not enough, not enough. Winter's cold, winter's long. I have many children and they eat a lot. I gotta go." And away he went. Squirrel's gone. That means the story can go on. That frog hopped, 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 hopped over to the pile. And he stuffed him in his mouth, and he stuffed him in his mouth, and he stuffed him in his mouth until his mouth was... And then he hop, 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 back to his hiding place, where he used his big, strong teeth to crack those walnuts that felt so good in his tummy. Squirrel came back. His big pile was gone. Ah! My walnuts are gone. My walnuts are gone. Winter's cold, winter's long. I have many Wait a minute. Who's stealing my walnuts? Who's stealing food that I have gathered for my children? Who would take my hard work instead of, "Oh, this is very bad. I am not having this. I'm going to tell." And away he went. He went to the place where the one who made all things lives. Now the one who made all things knows all things and doesn't need to be told too much by a squirrel. Someone is stealing. Who made such a thing? Stealing. Well, that is very bad. I did not make that because we do not need it and I do not want it, but I did not make it. I cannot be rid of it. I made truth and I will ask for truth. That will solve the problem. Truth will solve the problem. I will ask everyone if they took the walnuts. Everyone will speak the truth. There will be no punishment. There will just be truth. And then the problem will be solved. This is easy for me. And so every animal was asked, "Did you steal Squirrel's walnuts?" And one by one they answered, "No, that was not me. I didn't do it. I would not. No, I didn't. No. Oh, that's a bad thing. No, I don't do that. No, not me." Until he came to Bear. "Bear, did you steal Squirrel's walnuts?" And Bear said, "What? You accused me of stealing from a squirrel? Look at me. I'm big. Thank you for noticing. I'm big. I'm strong. I don't have to steal from a squirrel. If I want walnuts, I shake the tree. How dare you accuse me in front of my friends? How dare you even..." "Calm down, Bear. I wasn't accusing. I am asking for the truth, and thank you." Even the little snake was asked, "Snake, did you steal Squirrel's walnuts?" And Snake said, "Steal? Steal nuts? Why would I do that? I don't have any teeth. You can't eat nuts without teeth. You can't crack nuts without... I can't... Why do snakes get blamed for everything? I'm a good snake from a good family. I would never... oh, this is horrible. Quit staring. Oh, this is embarrassing. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Oh, this is horrible. Oh, this is very... Oh, my mother is going to be so... Oh, no. I can't even show him. I can't show him. I've got to go. And he slid off, and they say, from that day to this, when Snake hears anyone coming near, he tries to get away and hide, fearing that we've heard something about him that just is not so. Now, pretty soon almost all the animals have been asked except for Frog. 'cause Frog was hiding way in the back. "Frog, did you steal Squirrel's walnuts?" And Frog answered, "Um, no." "Frog, are you sure you didn't steal Squirrel's walnuts?" And Frog said, "Uh, uh, um, no." "No, you're not sure? Or no, you never stole?" "Oh, um, uh, never mind. I think I have my answer. Oh, all of you need not look so worried. You spoke the truth, and the truth is sweet inside your hearts. But the one who chose to steal has now brought lying into the world. And I did not make it, so I cannot be rid of it. That will depend on your choices, but the one who brought these things now must be punished. Tonight while you sleep, sweet dreams will come to all of you, as sweet as the truth that is in your hearts. But the one who chose to steal, the one who chose to lie, that one will suffer. Terrible dreams will come, and when you waken, it will be worse than anything of your dreams. Now, go to bed, whether you nest in the trees or in the earth. It is time for sleep." And the animals scattered into the forest. Soon the forest was full of the sounds of many animals, all snoring, deep in dreams, and sweet they were. All of them sound asleep except for Frog. Frog was afraid to sleep. "Oh dear. Oh no. Uh-oh. Oh." Finally, he worried himself to sleep, and as soon as he fell asleep, the bad dreams came. Terrible dreams, dreams so awful they scared him awake, and when he woke up, he knew right away something was wrong. But still, he hopped, hopped, hopped down to the river. He looked at his face in the water. His big, strong teeth were gone, taken away, because he used them when he stole, and then he lied. Now, from that day to this, you will not find a frog with teeth. But this story is told, as many peoples have their own stories, to guide us in what to do when we lose a tooth. They say, you lose a tooth, you throw it in the mud. And when Frog hears that tooth splashed down in the mud, he comes hopping and hopping and hopping and gathers it up. If he ever finds a way to stick them in his mouth, if he ever finds a way to keep them there, well, it will be thanks to children who know how good it can feel to give something to someone else.
We hope you enjoyed this performance of Frog's Teeth by Dovie Thomason. You can see the story performed on the YouTube channel of the Utah Division of Arts and Museums. There's a link in our show notes.
Again, we hope you can join us at the Arts Express Summer Conference for elementary educators this summer. Bring a friend and come and enjoy the benefits of the arts, professional camaraderie, catered meals, and access to top teaching artists in our state and country. Until then, here's wishing you an artful journey. Artful Teaching is made possible by the BYU Arts Partnership and the McKay School of Education.
Thanks to James Houston for editing this podcast. Music was generously provided by Connor Chi, a Navajo Diné composer and performer.
And special thanks to all of the teachers who are changing lives every day while serving in schools.
If you like what you heard, please leave us a review. You can find all the show notes for this episode and more resources at advancingartsleadership.com.
And don't forget to check out our tribe-approved lesson plans on the website as well.
I'm Heather Francis.
And I'm Callie Phlox,
And I'm Brenda Bial.
wishing you an artful journey.